And facing 1/3, I will check raise small. I will explain why this is a bit unusual. You don't see this super often. If I first shoot it here, I'm going to call against spot blind. When he c-bets 1/3 here, we are just going to call. All easy call, ON is not strong enough to raise. And this sizing from him is not that strong, so I expect many check fall on the turn. So we are going to barrel this hand if he checks to us. When he check here, I will barrel. I don't want to do too big because I want him to call and fold after a lot. So I'll just bet output. I expect if he checks ends like 8, 10s, queens now to always check raise. So I don't think he will check call that often. But he will still have ends like jacks, 9s, jack 10 that are easy call on the turn that will fall on the river. The stick is not the best now because he will have some flushes, but I expect flushes to like super often bet here from him on the turn. So I will jam, and I really expect a lot of fold equity against like 10-9, 10 jack, king 10, etc., and even some queen x. And that's also a good advice I can give you is don't be scared of pushing free barrel. In some spots it's not good because people will fold too much on the turns. That means that they will be scared against your second barrel and fold a lot, so the river range they will arrive with is stronger. But in general, you can just put a lot of pressure here, and he really needs to call often in order to defend here enough here. Like for example, this type of calls happen extremely rarely in 10 NL, and actually this type of call makes sense. Like doesn't need to call with this type of hands. Like it's not because he called with jacks that I made mistakes, and here against the pool I will clearly win money here by barreling. So hi guys, today we're back for another video. We're going to play 2 table of 10 NL, and I will show you all the best advice possible to annihilate the limits. So let's dive into the action. King queen off here, I decided to free bet against UTG. This is a loose free bet, but in 10 NL you can just free bet way more in position because you will not face enough opponent that has 4-bet bluffs here in this situation. Pocket 4 here against Button, I open and he call. That's a loose open, but that's okay. And on this flop here, I expect the check to work better compared to the bet. I think that even if pocket first doesn't win often this flop, you can check and bluff a lot on this type of turn. And just another good advice I can give you is just don't play passively here in these spots. For free she did here against a c-bet. I'll always check raise this type of hands on this type of board because I don't expect enough call from him. And now I'll do something a bit weird. I'm going to bet here in the turn with no equity, and I will explain why. I think that people will fall way too much. Again, bet turn, bet river. The only strong hand that checks the flop here expects to be kings, sometimes tens, and I expect this type of hands to raise against my sizing often. So when he will call, I expect a pretty cap range, and I can use a huge sizing on the river to generate a lot of folds. Ace king here, not that many things to do. I think we only have to jump. I expect the 4x free bet to be less aces oriented, but as I said again, the sizing here, you can just jump. Ace 7 here, we open ace 9 free. Here she has two different ends like king deuce, king 4, king 5 against my sizing. I don't expect people to do it enough, so here if you play low stakes and micro stakes, you can just bet a lot in small lines. It's going to work a lot. And now on the turn you have pretty much all option, because even if it's an SA bar, I don't expect enough call if I bet huge and huge, so I expect the bet turn bet river to win money. But here I think the best move is just to check the turn. It will let him bet his a6, and now when he checks the turn he will be pretty capped, and I expect also too much fold on the river. You don't need to size that big here, I think, like half pot is fine. But given the fact he never have like 5 deuce, 6, 4, and the only nuts he will have are king 9, king 3, I think we can just use the big sizing here, and we can just expect a lot of folds here. Because most people will just not think within like 9x, 4x, and I prefer to attack this type of ranges because it's going to get through way more often than the bet here. So I expect the check turn to let him bet his strong a6, and after bet river to be more profitable than the bet on the turn and the bet on the river. King 10 suited here I will call, and ace king I call a free bet, and I will check. And facing 1/3, I will check raise small. I will explain why this is a bit unusual. You don't see this super often. But actually, one problem I have is people range bet, but they will not free barrel enough on a6 board. So when you play, you always need to compare the EVs of the different lines and understand where does your EV come from. And here is not coming from the check call, because he will not have enough king jack, king queen, because people under free barrel ace-a board. So what you want to do here is to say to yourself, okay, he will not barrel king queen, so now I can just take money from the king queen queen jack jack region, and against the pool deviation, that's the best move. Here I will do a small sizing, just to let him raise some a6 and be sure that he's not folding 10s jack queens kings. We can bet a bit bigger also, but I think this sizing is great. And now on the river I will also say small, and when I do something like 6 or even 7, I just don't expect to fall with ends like jacks, 10s, queens, so I will just bet this sizing. And sometimes he bluffs with 10s, jacks. I don't think it's going to happen super often. And he called with queens, so actually here we take the maximum you can take in this spot. Maybe we can agree on the sizing on the turn, it was a bit small. But here in this spot, it's actually not possible to take more against his range, because the chance that he's range betting in position is high. And as I said here, if you call, he's going to check, you're going to bet the river, he's going to fall. Rather than if you just raise small, bet small, you actually can take 20 blinds in spot against queens, kings, and jacks. So the check raise small here is more profitable than the check call, and that's not in the books, not the recall oriented, but you really need to find this line, especially in a pool where like nobody will exploit your deviation here. King 8 suited here, I will call against an open. On this flop, you have a pretty easy check call. You can check raise and like 5-4, even 8-7 here, 8-6 for a big sizing. Ball will overfold if they range bets, and when you have a 5, you need some protection. But here with King 8, here we just have a call. Now with queens, I advise you to simplify your strategy, especially on the flop. You play like 5, 10, 25 and L. You can just range bet, and most people will not counter it well, so you can just apply a lot of pressure in this type of spots. He check, and now I lose against 10s, jacks, this type of hands. I don't expect him to check ace queen, so actually here we can go for an exploit, and I will do something like 21. And actually it's the same situation, I just expect too much fold here from him. So you can do that. Just be careful. I mean, if you do a YouTube video and people saw your video, they can call you more this type of spot. But in general here, if nobody knows, usually you're just going to fold. And you have shot on value, yes, but going the fires, most people will be extremely tight in the situation. That's one of the best moves you can do. Here with ace king with 3 bets, this board is not that good for us, so we just need to check. The reason why it's not that good is because even if we have the overpair advantage, this board will not evolve well for us. If we bet too much on an 8 or a 9 or 4 or 3, the board is not really advantaging us. So you want to play a bit passively here on this type of flop, even if the SPR is close to 4. And now on the river, I don't expect that many forex from him. I expect to have enough showdown value with his king, because I think the pool will bet too much pocket 8, pocket 9, pocket 10s on the flop and also on the turn. So I expect my showdown value to be quite high. We can even think about betting 3 here to value his queen. But I think checking is completely fine also, and DV should be close here. Ace queen off here will open. And on Jack 9 deuce, that's the same topic I was talking before. You can just range bet here. In theory, you should play mixed strategy, because if you see like which hands want to bet, you have a lot of hands that wants to bet big and some hands that want to check. There are not too many hands that want to use a small sizing. So you're going to bet either big or check here on this spot. And you can bet big with hands like King Jack, Ace Jack, etc. Now on the 9, I think we can just check Ace Queen. And mainly call on this river. And actually here the call is really close, because I expect him to have all the 10-9, King 10, and it's not easy for him to do the sizing with King Queen. I'll still call here, but I expect the call to be quite break-even, because it's often going to be volume, especially because people will not bluff enough on this type of board ends like pocket pairs. Pocket 5 here will 3-bet. Again, UTG against button, it's not the type of situation where people 4-bet enough, so you can just 3-bet way more. And if you see that some people will 4-bet you a lot because you 3-bet a lot, you can just take a note, take a level, and stop being over-aggressive against them. And seems we have someone that knows us, so I'm not gonna do this all the time. Now on this board, it's not a really good board for you, but when you 3-bet and you're in position, I really advise you to 1/3 range. This is going to work a lot in this type of spots, because it's tough for them to defend enough in the check call and the check raise lines, both lines. So you realize you're pretty well, because nobody will donk the turn. So that's really easy to play. 10-8 suited here, we call an open, and he c-bet 1/3. It's clearly the type of hand you want to check raise here, and you can check raise for big sizing, because if you range bet here, he will not defend enough in order to make your bluff not profitable. So I really expect here the check raise to win a lot of money. Well, he bet big on 9-9 deuce here. Again, be careful against big sizing on the flop usually, but this just doesn't make sense. If he has a hand like 9, I expect smaller sizing. And 9 is way too easy for him just to bet like Jack 10, Queen 10, Queen Jack with this sizing. And because we can play in spots where he will never I9x, and my raise can be extremely good, especially if you fold all the time Queen 10, and if you always have Queen 10, which I think might happen. This is probably one of the only spots I will be aggressive against a big bet on the flop. But usually on pretty much all boards, you need to be extremely careful when people bet big. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Check the description and see you next time. Bye guys.